So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome again. Sorry for the slight delay. We had some small technical issues, but it's all normally solved right now. Will you please welcome the last speakers in this room for today? Please welcome Vincent and Lukasz.
Thank you. Is my mic on? All right. When I was about to book my trip to come here, I went online and I was going to order a ticket, and I typed Antwerp, and to my surprise, actually the first city that showed up was a city in the United States. So there's also an Antwerp in the United States. You guys who are from Belgium probably knew that, but I'm going to start with a little quiz. Do you know how many cities in the US there are which actually have the same name of a city in Belgium? You raise your hand if you think it's more than 20. All right, a couple of hands. Between 10 and 20? Yeah, all right. A few hands. Less than 10, but more than 5? Okay, it's going to be hard because there's as many hands every time. Less than 5? Okay, so the actual answer is 9. Let me go here to my presentation. So these are the cities in the US which have the same name than a city in Belgium. But actually, when you look it up, there's actually quite a few cities in the US that have same name than some European cities, obviously. That has absolutely nothing to do with NAV. That was just something something I thought I would entertain you with. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vincent Nicolas. I'm the principal engineer lead of the client team in NAV, and I have Lukasz Olbromski with me, who is an engineer on my team. We've been really busy last year, and most of the time we have spent on developing our tablet client for NAV. So I guess some of you have seen it already. Let me see a show of hands. How many of you have seen the tablet client already? Quite many people. Okay. So we're going to go through some of the specific tablet stuff that are new to the product, because there's a lot of interesting things you might not have seen already in the tablet. So let's get started. So first of all, it's on all the three platforms, the three major platforms, iOS, Android, and Windows, of course. So if you want your customers to get the tablet client, it's very easy. They just go on the store, and they look for the tablet client and for NAV tablet client, and they download and install it like any other app from the store. I'll show you that in a second, how that works. But if you go, if you've tried it already, go and search for NAV or Dynamics NAV on the store. You'll get a few hits. This is not the only app out there which has something to do with NAV. So if you want your customers to get right to the proper app, you can send them a link. All three stores support that. You can link directly to a specific app, so they can just click on that link and install. And so I'll show how that works. Ideally, you would once you have your system set up with your server and your application, you would go and format a mail and send it to your customers, containing all the information on how they can install the app. So let me show you how that works. So I'll switch to my Surface here. So a mail could look like this one. Yeah, you can see it. And these icons over there, they're actually links to the different stores. So you just go and click on it from your mail, and that brings you to the store directly to where the app is. Should do that.
But maybe you could check the connection.
Yeah, do a connection problem here. Oh, it's okay. Okay, let's try again. All right. first demo effect. Sorry about that. All right, but it's on the store, and that's how you get to the app through that link. So you can just install it from here. I won't do that because I've installed it already. So once you've installed the app on your device, you just launch it, and that's the screen. That's actually the screen you get. Actually, before that, because I've logged on that device already. So that's the very first screen you get. As you can see, the service name, which is the URL of your server, is pre-populated because I've logged on already. But the first time your users are going to use this app, it's not going to be pre-populated. And the URLs that needs to be entered can be a little bit complicated. So here's how you format the URL. So these are the apps, the links. So when you can download the presentation from Ibu, so you can get these links to put in the mail directly for reference. So this is the links you can use to open the app and make it easier for your customers to directly have all the information on your server, the port, the instance they use if you are using multiple instances, and your company and your tenant. So there are a couple of examples. As you can see, we actually, so the way it works is that when the app is installed on the device, we register a custom protocol, pretty much like on Windows, which is going to bring you directly to the app. So I'm going to demo that right now. If I switch back to my device here, and switch back to my mail. So you see the URL I have on my mail is actually starting with this protocol, and then that's the name of the server instance, and that's the name of the NAV instance. And I could add company and tenant and stuff like that. So if I click on the instance on the link, sorry, I get directly to the next screen, so I don't have to type the entire URL, and the only thing I have to enter now is my credential, for my NAV credential. Here we go. So that's a wall center, how it looks on the tablet. So one of the things that we like to demo is this is the wall center in the portrait, in the landscape mode. But we also we've done a lot of work to implement something we call adaptive device, adaptive layout. And you'll see that if you switch to portrait mode, we'll change the whole layout of the screen to adapt to the new format. I can't show you that on that connection because when it's projecting, it doesn't want to turn, I believe. So. Yeah, but I can. If you come to the desk after the presentation, I can demo it for you. This is how you easily get your application to this application to your customers. Now, you might consider having a mail formatted like this to make it easy. Otherwise, it's a little bit. Can be a little bit cumbersome to get to the app itself and enter your credentials and all these things. So the only thing basically that your users have to do is enter their credentials from this link. All right, so let me walk you a few of these UI elements we have on this tablet experience. So we have no ribbon here. Instead, we have this pop-up menu. That's popping up when you press the three dots, tap on the three dots, and it's only going to show the promoted actions because, as you know, the ribbon can be pretty crowded and pretty busy. There's simply not enough room on the tablet to show all this stuff, so we made that decision that showing only the promoted action. So you need to keep that in mind when you build your pages. The navigation is on what we call the burger menu. It looks like a burger with three lines here. So that's your navigation here. And then the tiles, as you know them, they are on the side. So another thing we have, which is new and only for the tablet client. So if you go to a list view where you have a lot of entries, for example, the items in a demo database have typically a lot of entries. If you do that on the other clients, you have to scroll. Like on the web client, we have this paging mechanism where you would go and we show a certain number of lines. I think 25, Lukasz, do you remember how many lines we show?
I think it's 15 on the embedded list and then 20 in the dialog, I believe.
Okay, so we show limited amount of lines, and then you have a button, paging button, that will bring you the next bunch of lines. And this is not we didn't think that was a very good tablet-like experience. So instead we introduced what we call continuous scrolling. So you'll see when I scroll the list here, if you notice at the bottom of the list, you'll see there is a text appearing shortly saying fetching rows. And what it does is exactly that. It's fetching more rows, and I can keep on scrolling like this indefinitely. Pretty much like you know it from when you do picture search on Bing or on Google, should you be using that engine. So that's similar thing we do here. So you have a natural experience where you just swipe, and then we fetch more rows as we go. So these were a few of the things we have made. I can show you briefly. So you've seen the list view. We have, of course, a different layout for each type of page. We have, but Lukasz, I think, is going to show you that in more details. So let me go back to my slides here. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the architecture of the tablet app and how we actually design it. So the technology we've been using are HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, pretty much like the web client that you might already know. So basically, most of the code is the same code. We just render it in a different way and format it in a different way. There's a lot of CSS tricks we have been doing to render it fast and fluid. There's one major difference, though. When you go in the tablet, in the web client, the NAV web client, each time you click on something, you go and issue a request to the server that's going to download and create a new page, download a new HTML page, and that will make the browser re-render the HTML, re-render the CSS, and re-pass the JavaScript, which takes, of course, some time on the client side. So this is basically the old way to do websites. Today, when you do browser-based development, what we call modern applications are doing things differently. When you do a request, when you click on something, instead of refreshing the entire page, we just go and fetch just the piece of the UI that needs to be updated. We get it back to the client and adjust the DOM and just change the HTML that needs to be changed. So that means you always stay on the same page. And we call this a single page application, a single page architecture. So the web client is still working the old way. The tablet client is using the single page architecture, which gives actually the result of this is that you get a fast and fluid interface, and you get a much more responsive interface when you touch and when you switch pages and all that, which is something we thought was important for the tablet experience. So Cordova is the wrapper of all this. It is actually a web application, as you've understood by now. And Cordova is an open source software that provides you a shim, so it looks like it's a native application, and that's how you can publish an application which is web-based on the store. On the Windows Store and on the Apple Store, you can only publish native applications. So Cordova allows us to wrap a web application into this shell, so to speak, so we can publish it on a store. It also has some other capabilities that allows you to interface with the actual device. So that was just to give you a little bit of insight of how this app is built. So inside the app, it looks like this. We have that's an illustration of what I was just saying. So here you have our tablet client, which is basically the web part of it, and we have a browser control inside, and then the native app, which is the Cordova thing. So in iOS it's Objective-C, on Android is Java, and on Windows platform is the WinJS application. So you might be wondering, if I want to develop for the tablet, what tools? What do I need? What tools do I need to develop for the tablet? If you want your app, your application, if you want to develop an application for your users for the tablet. So the good news is that you won't need any of these. This was just to give you some insight on how it is made, but you're not going to need to learn HTML or JavaScript or CSS. How many of you know JavaScript, HTML? Okay, quite a few. So that's good. I mean, you might be using that for something else, but I'll get back to that. So actually, the tool you need is this one. That's the only tool you need to develop for the tablet. So, C-side development, as we love it. So if you want to try it out, if you haven't tried that yet, I recommend that you register for the workshop tomorrow if you haven't done so already. We'll be doing some of this, and you'll see how easy it is to bring any application to the tablet. The only thing we recommend, the only thing that you need to be aware of is that the real estate and the whole layout of the page is obviously different than what it would be in the Windows client or in the web client. So when you develop your application, you need to test it on the tablet. I'll get back to that and show you how easy it can be done. Okay, so with that, we're going to show you some more stuff on the tablet itself. And I'm going to hand it over to Lukasz, who is going to show you, I won't spoil it for him, so here you go, Lukasz.
Hello, welcome everybody. So I have prepared 4 demos for you, and I will basically walk you through some of the tablet experience. So the first demo I'm going to show you is how web tablet client takes the advantage of all these Office integration scenarios we've been developing for quite a few releases. And how many of you went to the earlier session in the morning where Vlad and Torben presented all these Office integration scenarios? So unless I have the overview. Okay. So what I'm going to show you in that area is how we can generate the report and then output it to different formats. So when we go to the customer list and then from the pop-up menu select a report, as you can see, when we have groups in the pop-ups, we can expand and collapse them so we don't take that much space from the beginning. So when I select the customer top 10 reports, what you see is the NAV request page, and in tablet client, just to give better user experience, we slide them from the top. So you have the actions available at the top, and they're reachable within your thumbs. So and basically this kind of UI we use in those cases when user is giving basically a choice and is about to provide some input, as opposed to the message dialogues, which we render just to give user some information and ask about the confirmation, whether this is something he or she wants to do, or just dismiss the action. So when I will try to send this report to the given output, I am shown the message dialog, and I can select the specific output. So when I take the PDF document and confirm my choice, the report will be generated, and then I will be asked to open in the supported application. So I will keep Microsoft Adobe Reader, and then we utilize the advantage of the Windows platform, and then the report is shown in the split screen. And I don't know if you notice, the UI of the list changed a bit, and this is some part of the adaptive layout changes that Vincent mentioned earlier. And when we have that much space, we can see only 4 columns in the grid. And when I increase the width, then as you can see, more columns up here, and also the search box is getting wider. And when I go to the opposite side and give less space, then I see only 3 columns in the grid, and then also the caption for the new icon has disappeared, caption of the list gets truncated, and it's still the list is usable. So we spend a lot of time making sure that regardless of your real estate, you can get the decent experience. So this is how it works. And also you can, of course, select different outputs. So I can do the same with the Excel. And then the Excel application will be opened after the report is generated. So that basically covers the Office integration scenarios and how the tablet client takes the advantage of them. I just, during the meantime, clicked the specific row. OK, so when I go back to the, here is the Excel. It was open behind the scenes. So when I go back to the application, yeah. So the second scenario is basically a bit more real user scenario. So, and this is also what tablet client is primarily designed for. So imagine that you are a salesperson coming back home with a train, like normally we do in Denmark because the cars are quite expensive. So, and then you just receive a call out of a sudden, and then your customer is calling, confirming that the deal that you were discussing earlier is about to happen. And then you just sit on a train. Without tablet, you wouldn't be able to do anything. You will need to just write down all the notes, probably come back tomorrow to the office and continue from there. With tablet, you can just take the tablet, and I'm going to show you. You can just go to the list of the customers. And then you can use the search functionality and search for the customer you are going to create the sales invoice for. And then when you press enter, then the search has done. Have anyone of you noticed something different in the search functionality in the tablet client comparing to how it used to work? We have some T-shirts for a good answer. Yes? Yes, that's correct. So in tablet client is the first client that we allow to search on multi-columns. So I have a search for you. So thank you, Vincent. So I will show it again to you. Thanks. So I will create the search value. And then I will try to Google it, sorry, Bing it. And then I will tap Vince again, and then I have Vincent. So when I open the customer, and also something worth to highlight that you can tap anywhere on the row in the list, and then it brings you the card. And the tablet client, which is worth to mention, renders card page a bit differently. I'd like to spend a few minutes explaining the differences. Because when you look at the web client and the Rotorroll client, then card and document pages, they look more like the same. So it's very hard to see the difference of the data that you're actually looking at. And tablet client for card pages, just because historical data for card pages are very important, like in the case of the customer, it's very important to know what kind of relationships with this customer, whether he's paying bills on time, how many open invoices he has, and information like this. That's why, can I get a clicker?
It's on the table somewhere.
So that's why, where is the laser? So that's why we render fact boxes in this area on the left-hand side in landscape mode. And then actually I have two fact boxes, but because our adaptive layout kicked in, so then the fact boxes, they don't fit on the page, they will not be displayed. So also you need to consider this when you design your pages, how much content you can put for the devices that you're going to support, because it will affect how the page looks on the screen. And then, as we can see, you have two columns layout presenting all the data about the customer. So if I would like to proceed with creating the invoice for my customer, and for any chance I forgot how many items of specific kind Vincent want to order, I can just take the advantage of the extended data types, click on a phone number, and then I will be asked if I want to call Vincent, so I can use Skype or an application that I have set up, make the call, get the information, and take it from there. So if I want to create sales invoice, and I forgot to mention that here I use the small business profile, a specific version for tablet that basically got simplified, so then the tablet experience is even better and simpler, so you can make your task quicker. So when I'm at the customer card, I can quickly go to sales invoice, and I'll be presented, again, task dialog, just because this page is shown as model, and I can already proceed with filling in the information about specific sales invoice. As you already see, the information about the customer is already pre-filled based on the context I am, so I can just enter item number, and then the information is already filled in, and when I enter the quantity of 10 bicycles, I can just save it. And also, we add the functionality to make it easier that when you hit enter, the value will be saved, and then on-screen keyboard will disappear, so you can actually look at your data.
But again, as Lukasz pointed out, it's very important to keep in mind simplicity when you design these pages for the tablet. Frankly, most of the scenarios you will do on a tablet, of course, so scenarios like this are pretty advanced already, but obviously you can imagine it doesn't take a lot of fields on this dialog before it becomes unusable. So keep that in mind when you design your application. Try it out on the tablet, on the real device, and you'll see whether it works or not. But the idea is targeting scenarios that can be done on the tablet, that make sense on the tablet. You still want the web client or the Windows client on a real desktop to do like head downs type of work.
Yeah, and here also we have yet another example of using the integration with Office. So for instance, you can post and send this invoice, and then you are presented the message dialog asking you how you want to handle it. And of course, we have assets added to define the behavior of how save as PDF work, whether we want to show dialog or we don't want to show it. So we have the selection of the behavior. And then if I basically decide to send this as PDF, I also get the invoice shown as PDF, and also I will be having them shown side by side together with the NAV application. And as you probably noticed, now adaptive layout also kicked in, and just because now there is less vertical space for the card page, the adaptive layout switched to the portrait. So then fact boxes have disappeared, and this is what we called focus on content mode, that what you are focusing is the content, and fact boxes are also available, and we show all of them in expandable collapse panel. So you are able to see all the historical data about your customer, and you can already embed all the information that are very important about specific entity, in this case, customer. So when I will go back, so that's everything about creating the size invoice. And then the last demo I have prepared is basically how to put an image that fills the role center and the content area. Because probably you can easily imagine that when your application is very simple, you might end up in a situation where there is no really specific content you want to put in the content area. And the content area is this white part of the screen that you can scroll up and down. And the one on the left-hand side, we call it navigation area, where you have all the navigation aids. So in order to demonstrate this to you, we have created new profile called Big Image. And I would also, how many of you experience difficulties or a bit not intuitive experience of changing profiles in the web client? Or that was very easy?
Nobody, that's cool.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's fine.
But in my mind, it was very cumbersome because you need to go to the list or role center page, open the search dialog, search for the profile page, update the specific profile, make it as default, and then sign in, sign out. And now, with this release, nothing become much simpler. You can use the profile query sync parameter, and I know you see it well. I will try to point it. Now, okay. Now we have this parameter profile, and then you just type the name of the profile, and then after you connect to this URL, then you already be running in different profile, which I think it hasn't been so easy ever in a NAV. So I hope that you will take the advantage of that functionality.
So question mark at the end of the URL, and profile equals, and then the name of the profile. That will bring you directly to the profile of which name you've put in the URL without having to change it into the profile dialog. You don't have to go and change it for that particular user as a default profile. So that gives you also an opportunity, back to the first slide I had, where you can manufacture your URL to get directly to the right page and into the application. You can add that as well. That will also bring you to the right profile, by the way.
Yeah, actually, I was wondering how many jobs I should prepare for all those times when NAV is loading, and I think I counted up to 10, but I hope it will load soon.
Maybe the network is...
Maybe there's some connectivity.
Just try to restart, yeah.
Restart?
Yeah. Just go. It's not going to come. go without it.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, like this is the example of very simple error center, and then as you probably can notice, this very big white area. And then if I also received some of the feedback from customers that would be really nice to put the company logo to fill that content in. And this is basically what we introduced for tablet clients. So I will show you how to do it. As the preparation work for this page, basically we added simple part that contains one field, which is an image that points to the company information table. So I will go to that page and edit it. So I am presented again the company card page, and then I can just go and select a picture. So this is how the file chooser looks in the tablet client, and then already we take the advantage of the native file choosers, and we can go up. So using pictures.
Yeah, actually, that's where you kill me, Lukasz. I forgot to upload the picture there. Okay.
Yeah, but
just take a picture with the camera. There'll be just anything.
Okay, I will just disconnect the keyboard. And how do you actually take with Surface? Do you know? Or maybe someone can help me. Technology always can surprise you.
All right, we'll show that later, right? Let's keep that.
Yeah.
But basically, if you go back to your presentation, so the idea is that you don't necessarily have content you want to show on your role center because we found out that the tiles in the design we have, the tiles, if you go back to your role center, the tiles become really predominant in this design, and a lot of people actually have desired to use them as your entry point, as your navigation point because it's very tablet-like, these big buttons. So basically, what you can do there, I'll show it to you in a second. You can put your own logo or any picture you want in the rest of the content. That's what this feature allows you to do.
So that's all demos I
sorry
could
about
prepare.
that, Lukasz.
No problem.
All right. So, where's the clicker?
Nothing is there.
Let's see what's next. Yeah. So, before I was mentioning that you need to test on the real device, but you don't actually need to test all the time on the real device when you're going to go and develop. So, the tablet experience that you've just seen run just as well in the browser. You don't actually need the app to visualize it. So the only thing you have to do is hit this URL. So the URL of your server and your port and your instance, as always, as you use it on the web client. So same URL as you would use for your web client, but instead you append this tablet.aspx at the end, and that will render in the tablet mode. So I'm going to show that right away. So you'll see how that works. Let me switch back so you can see my screen. All right. So just go and so I've prepared the URL, the link here. So you can see I just have, I just need to enter this URL, which is so the part before tablet SPX is just if I don't. So let me show it to you, without, so you believe me. So if I just go to this URL, this is the web client. So I just log on here, and this is the web client. So that's how it looks like, right? As you know it. Now if I instead go tablet.aspx here, then it's a tablet client. And I didn't even have to log off and log on because I'm already logged on with the same user. So basically, when you go and develop for your for the tablet, you can test on your machine, on your Windows machine, directly in the browser. So if you come to the workshop, we'll do a lot of that. That's really easy. You develop your pages as you always do in Seaside, and you go and just press F5 in the browser and refresh the page to see your changes as you go. Now that doesn't really replace the real development or real testing. I mean, on the device, you will always need to test ultimately on the device to make sure everything works as it should. But there's something else I want to show you. Because there is a lot, we support a wide range of tablet, and so we support, of course, the Surface and iPad, but also Android, and especially Android have it's a very fragmented market, as you know. There's a lot of devices out there with different resolution, different form factor. You can use Google Chrome. Google Chrome has really cool feature which I'm going to show you in a minute. By the way, if you want to have an idea how your tablet application is going to look like on the Surface, then use Internet Explorer. But if you want to have an idea of what it's going to look like on an iPad, you can use Google Chrome. That's going to give you almost the same rendering that's on the iPad. Now that's because of the browsers libraries that are used by the iPad versus the Windows platform. So it's always a good idea to try it on both. But we did a lot of work to basically shield you from all that stuff. You shouldn't have to worry whether it's an iPad, a Windows platform, or an Android platform. It should work on all three platforms. There are very, very small differences. They are so small I don't even bother mentioning them. So the idea is to, we've done the work, so you guys wouldn't have to do it. But anyway, so the cool feature I wanted to show you in Chrome was, if you go and press F12, which is the developer tools for Chrome, so you'll see a whole bunch, what you see on the left side, on the right side here is, how the HTML looks like and the CSS and all that, which is also great. But they have this device simulation mode, so you can go and select. You see, there are a whole bunch of devices here. And let's say you want to develop for the Google Nexus 7, which is a 7-inch tablet. You select this particular device, and the screen and the resolution are going to adapt so it simulates that device. You can see how it's going to look like. And you'll notice that we render fewer tiles, for example, on this one. And that's also what you will see if you start a tablet client on the Google Nexus 7. That's how the rendering will look like. You will have, you see how much of the area you'll have to scroll on for showing the different parts you have on the center and all these kind of things. So I thought I'll share this with you, because then that allows you to do a lot of testing directly on your browsers and without having to invest in a whole bunch of devices, especially if you're doing team development. You only need few devices to do your final testing, but you can do 80% of the development on the browser. Actually, that's how we worked. Of course, we bought a whole bunch of devices to test, but most of the time we are using the browser and testing on our Windows boxes when we develop. So that was the development experience. Let me go back to my presentation. Yes, the next thing I want to talk about is the deployment, because we have, through our TAP program and with the people who have been already using and deploying the app, we have had a lot of issues with the certificate. So I don't know if you noticed, but all the URLs we have been using to log on to the server are using HTTPS. And for various reasons, HTTPS is required from the device. So let me get back to that in a second. So this is the regular development topology you have for your application. There's the server and the database and the web server, and that could be either on premise or in the cloud. It doesn't really matter for the topic here, and your internet could just as well be an intranet. But the problem is that, so you might have noticed that if you install the web client from the demo, from the installer, you just install the demo and install the web client. What we do is we install what's called a self-signed certificate, which means it's not a real certificate. It's one that you just can make yourself using some command line tools. But that means that what it means is that this certificate is not trusted by your browser. So when your browser sees this certificate, it's used to encrypt the communication, but it doesn't, it's not registered. When you go and do a payment online, the certificate that I use are known certificates, they're trusted certificates. So that's why Internet Explorer will show you a green bar. I don't know if you've probably noticed that. That means that everything is okay. The payment you are placing is secure. But if you use a self-signed certificate, the browser warns you about it, and it tells you are going to a site. It has a certificate, but I don't know who this guy is. So it's going to give you a red bar on the address bar. But you can choose to continue and view that site anyway. And this is all something that takes place in the browser. You get a dialog box telling you this site is potentially harmful, do you want to continue and all that. I'm sure some of you have experienced that. This does not exist on the device, or we would have had to implement all this interaction if we wanted to provide a similar experience. So instead, we chose to say, okay, you have to use HTTPS because we support the different kind of encryptions, and if you don't use HTTPS, your password and username might be transferred unencrypted on the wire, and of course you don't want that. So that means that you need to have a signed certificate. So the solution is to acquire one. Usually you can buy one for a fee which is about I'm not sure, but it's something about $5 to $100 depending which provider you're using. And you need to install it. So that's a one-time, that's a subscription, but you only need one certificate. You don't need one for each client. You only have to have one on your web server. That's all you need. It's just a file you copy, and it has to be manufactured, relatively to the name of your domain that you're using. So only you can use it on your own domain. So you'll need to invest in that if you want to be serious about providing tablet to your customers. Alternatively, you can use there's other ways and where you can actually use a self-signed certificate, which can be good for development. And we have written a blog post that describes how to do it. It's a little bit tedious. You have to actually install and trust the certificate on the device. It's different on all three platforms, or that is done. But if you want to do that, if you're interested, at the end of the presentation there is links to the blog post. So just look it up on the NAV team blog. It is there. There's a very thorough description of how you can do that kind of thing. All right. Now a few tips and tricks. Actually, the most valuable trick is to from our experience, to be able to restart the application on the device. And actually, not everybody knows how to do it. So that's why I have pulled up that slide. So this is different on all the three platforms. On Windows, there's the good old task manager, which you know from Windows. So you go and kill the process. On iOS, that's how you do it. And Android, it's different. So it's just for reference. If should your app go into a mode where you want to restart it? It shouldn't, but you never know. All right, so we did a whole bunch of other improvements to the client. That was a tablet, but we also did a few things which went not only for the tablet, and Lukasz is going to show you what these things are.
Yeah, so I guess you probably noticed that I don't do much PowerPoint, and there are two reasons for it. One is that I wanted to actually present as much of the cool features we did for both of the clients, and also is the second one. Just before I went to this conference, my wife showed me the article containing the interview with Satya, our new CEO, and then he said that people over 30, they do PowerPoint, and people below, they use new tools. So I decided to have no PowerPoint whatsoever. So what I'm going to show you about the new improvements, there are basically four things. One of the things we did is to improve how the mandatory fields are working. So before we were supporting only mandatory fields on the primary keys. Now we hide the behavior, and I'm going to show you how does it work. Also, we improve the rendering of the totaling on the document pages mostly. So the next thing that was very well needed by many of you, and we got this feedback, is to support fixed layout in the web client. And then that works very nicely in both of the clients, tablet and web. And then the last thing is because we utilize the same framework between two clients, so also the web client took the advantage of the features in the tablet client and also support some of the adaptive features that I'm going to show you. So I will start with presenting to you the mandatory field behavior, and I will use the same scenario as previously about creating the sales invoice. So I will switch back to the original profile we started. So I will just always.
Now everybody know the password. It's a super secret password. Don't repeat it to anybody.
Yeah, that's why you use Surface. Otherwise, iPad will show it to you. So not very smart.
Yeah.
So do I need to use some of the bad tricks that Vincent showed or not?
We started again.
Yeah, I think it got suspended. Also, probably. Yeah.
Just restart it again. All right.
Yep. The application is back. So if we go to create sales invoice, and then we start from the role center this time, then you will see that this is the document page in tablet client. And if you remember how the card page looked like in tablet client was a bit different. So as you can see, there is no factbox array on the left-hand side. This page actually doesn't contain factboxes, but if it would have, they would be on the right-hand side. And that's the difference in the landscape mode. And here is just because we're creating the document, and the document is important at the time of the creation. Later, you don't have to actually go back to that and see the historical data. You just need it, how it looks like at this particular view. And also the other difference is that previously when we were creating sales from the customer, it was shown as the task dialog just because it was run as modal. And here we have, as we call it, full screen page, where you have a bit more content. So also it's something you may want to consider when you design pages, because task dialogs get a bit less real estate because they need to have side margins that looks like the task dialog. So on this particular page, I have actually two fields that are mandatory. One is the customer name, and the second is until number. So I'm going to fill in, and then you will see how the behavior is through the time. So, and this is the example also of the lookup run modally. So then I can search. I have the text box area on the right-hand side that I can use and search for the customer I'm interested in, or I can just basically pick from the list. And like Vincent showed you earlier, continuous scrolling works here as well. So I will pick exemplary customer. As you can see now, the mandatory field indicator is gone. And when I go to the item number and type, okay.
I want to disconnect or reconnect the keyboard.
No, I think it's just because it's saving, so it's just locked. Oh, I think that I'll just disconnect from the keyboard and hold it. Yes. So now when I save, as you can see, mandatory field indicator has disappeared, and now I got yet another one for the quantity field, just because for item, it is important to also fill in the quantity. And this behavior also is controlled on the CL side. So now you have the flexibility of making any field mandatory and also control it on the CL side based on your business logic. So you have full freedom and power of guiding your users how the specific data should be provided.
So it used to be something that was only for, I mean, you've seen the red star before, but there used to be something that was only for ID fields, which were set as mandatory. But now we enable this for all the fields. So you can enforce the entry of any type of any data now.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to show you on this particular page is actually totals, that the feature introduced the small business application last release. And I don't know how many of you noticed, but there's a difference in the rendering. And does any one of you know how we used to render this kind of layout in the previous release? I have a few more t-shirts, so don't be shy. Sorry? You mean? Yeah, but also we did some of the tricks to create this space between the list and the group, and also to create space between those two columns. But just don't to spend more time on it.
You get a t-shirt anyway for during answering.
For the try. Yeah, so basically here we're using the fixed layout with one column spreading across the entire part, just to give some vertical space. And then for the horizontal, we add yet another group. So instead of 2 columns layout like we have here, we had 3 columns. So then those groups in the end got 33% of the entire width instead of 50 like it is now. So we have now much better use of space, and actually you can see the fields better. So it's one of the tiniest improvements we did. And also Thomas earlier showed you some of the HTML improvements. So we take the advantage of it. The next thing we did is the support for fixed layout. And I added the action to go to the fixed layout page, and you see this lighting. So it means that it's very quick to render. So let's see how it goes. And then I hope you should like it. This is the fixed layout page now in the tablet client, and looks exactly the same in the web client. Of course, with the differences, how the specific page is being rendered. And I will just switch to the web client. I hope I can do it. And then I will show you how does it work in the web client. So I will just use my favorite browser, remove the tablet.spx.
Need to project here. Need to duplicate the projection.
Sorry?
It's not projecting, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just need to. Okay, I need to set it to project. Sorry about that. Yes.
Here you go.
So I will go back to my road center, and I will show you the fixed layout so you can see how it's being rendered. And when I scroll down, it's nice and tidy fixed layout page that you can take the advantage of those kind of pages. And they're very important to show any kind of statistics for different kind of data. And the last thing I would like to show you is some of the adaptive layout features. So now this is the row center, and as you probably can see, by default, we render all the content in 2 groups, 2 columns. So, and that's very good when you have very wide screens, but when you have a bit narrow screen, what happens is that instead of rendering this as 2-column layout, the columns switch, and then we render them one below the another. So we can actually have less vertical space, and then actually you can see more data with that in mind. So that's for the row center. There's not that much of the improvement, and also you can use the feature from the previous release, focus on content, and you can actually see more. But when you go to list, then the changes are a bit more visible. As you can see, the fact boxes got a bit more vertical space, so you can see more of the caption, especially when they are longer, and usually the bars are very narrow. But when you will continue decreasing the width, then you will notice that fact boxes will get narrower, like this, and then they will disappear in the end, so then you can actually set the list. And then when you focus on content, you actually can get quite decent overview of the list page. And also we did something for the document page. As you can see, now the layout, like in the tablet client, transformed to the single column layout in fast tabs. And when I will keep increasing and maximize the dialog, of course, I have 2 columns layout, and when I will go yet another time on the opposite side, fact boxes will disappear. I will switch to 2-column layout, like now. As you can see, I have 2 columns, and the fact boxes disappear. This is the single column, and I can keep going, and then the captions go over the values. So then actually I can display the document page on basically 200 pixels, which is quite a, I think, very, very narrow. And then, of course, Ribbon adapts to it, and all the groups get compacted. So that's all the demos I have prepared for you. Thank you.
So, Lukasz, can you please switch? You're done with the Surface, right?
Yes, I'm done.
Can you please switch to the
iPad?
To the iPad, yes. Then
yes.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is about is extending the tablet client. Last year, how many of you were at the conference last year? So if you've seen our session on the client, we showed and demoed how to do an add-in, a UI add-in for the client using HTML and JavaScript. So I won't go through the demo again. There's lots of resources on the net that demo how to do that. We have walkthroughs in MSDN, and there are also people at Vaco who demo how to do that. There are some videos on YouTube that show you how to do that in details. But I want to repeat the message about if you have we still support the .NET add-in framework for UI, but if you want to do future-proof add-ins, if you want to invest in this UI, you have to switch to JavaScript and HTML, because that's the only technology that is cross-platform and supported on all the clients. So if you do an add-in or have an add-in which is developed using the .NET technology, it will only work in the Windows client. If you do the same thing in JavaScript, and you can do everything that you can do in C# and .NET, you can also do in JavaScript and HTML, your add-in will automatically be rendered and surfaced in all the clients. That's the Windows client, the web client, and the tablet client. So if you want your add-in to be on the tablet, there's only one way: it's HTML and JavaScript. So I'll show you actually some of the fact that now we are on a touch interface. I hope this works. Yes, here we go. So now that we are on a touch interface, that gives you the opportunity to do some cool scenarios. See, that's the trick about restarting the app.
Very useful.
That's how it is. That's how it works. All right. So yeah. By the way, so this is how it looks on the iPad. I could be lying to you. It could not be an iPad, but it is an iPad. So you see, there's not much difference between the Surface and the iPad, and that's what we were striving at. So the UI will be the same. So once you have your application on one device, you can have it on all devices. By the way, I think I can show you the adaptive layout on the iPad. I couldn't show you on the Surface when I'm projecting, but the iPad actually is a little more responsive to that. So you see, if Lukasz showed you some of this already by resizing, but that also happens when you, of course, turn from portrait to landscape. Anyway, so I have a small add-in I want to show you. If I go on the sales invoice, take any sales invoice. No, that's not the sales quote, sorry.
Yeah.
There we go. If I go on sales quote and open any sales quote. So I lost the connection. There we go. So what you see here is a JavaScript add-in which I've made, and that's for if you want to sign the document directly on the tablet. You can take a pen or take your finger and you can just write in the box. So that's scenarios you can do with the tablet, and you can go and actually save the picture into. You can have a blob field in your table, and you can go and when the user press accept, you can go and save the signature and save it for later, either printing or for reference on any type of document or page. So that's just an example of the cool things you can do with JavaScript and HTML and with touch on the device. This particular add-in, I've published a sample on our blog team site, and you can actually download the code for this from the MSDN sample library. For those of you who are coming to the workshop tomorrow, we're going to do some tablet development, but if you're very fast and you can go through what we have on the program, then we can look at some of these things if you're interested. All right. So yeah, there's a slide on the deck with all the resources. So when you download, or if you want to download the presentation, there's all the links to how to the blog post I was talking about. I've been talking about during the presentation, there's plenty more. I just choose these ones as the because that's the one that I've mentioned during this presentation. But there's a lot of resources out there we've put out there for getting you started.
Sorry, sorry, Vincent.
Yep.
And also, if you go back.
Yep.
And also, there is this link at the bottom, and that explains step by step how to add the image to the raw center. So, because we couldn't make it here, so then you can go and refer to the article and basically go through it, and then you will see how the page looks like in this particular case.
That's the demo that that Lukasz was showing you. It's described there step by step. All right, so. The message we wanted to convey to you guys during this this presentation is that there's absolutely almost no learning curve for developing for the tablet. The development development process you have, you can develop the same way that you've always been developing, and you can get your app very easily on the tablet. That was our goal, as you can see, there's basically no effort. The only thing you have to be aware of is the real estate, and which is obviously smaller than it would be on a desktop, but also the user experience. You really want to think of your application and your user as using touch, so not too much keyboarding. So keep these things in mind. There's a lot of possible reuse. I mean, the pages you have already, you can take a page you have and see render it on the tablet, open it on the tablet, see how it looks like. Maybe you can use it as it is. Maybe you can't. Maybe you have to tailor it a little. But basically, you can reuse what you already have. So all the code you have written, the business logic you have written on your page is basically reusable. And there's low cost. The development is low cost. You don't need to invest in a lot of devices. You only need to have a few of them. You can do most of your testing and most of your development on a regular Windows box. And there's no additional deployment cost when you're going to deploy your application. You deploy it as any other application. If you have a web client or web server installed, that's all you need. So if you want a tablet client, you just go and install the web client, and you'll get the tablet client with it. So basically, that's it. I hope it's going to be easy for you guys to do a lot of cool applications for the tablet. So now we have about 20 minutes for plenty of time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, fire away. All right. Is there anybody who can help us with the mic? Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Deploy once and reuse. Do you already have a way that we can see if it's on which client it's running? Because the web client and the tablet client is quite the same, and we have to. When you said you suggest to keep it simple on the tablet.
Yes.
We have the visibility.
Yes. Yeah.
Is there already a way that we
So the question. The question is, I repeat the question so everybody can hear. That's a very good question. The question is there a way, do we have a way to differentiate, I guess you mean in the code, whether we're running on the web client, on a tablet? And the answer, unfortunately, is no. So in the current version of NAV, you can differentiate between the Windows client and the web client. But you wouldn't know in your code whether you're on the tablet or on the web client. But the good news is that we actually have that in scope for the coming release. So, and we will implement that. Actually, we're implementing it right now. And so we might even consider backporting it to a cumulative update if you think that's important. But let us know. But that's something we'll have anytime soon.
Excuse me, there's a question here on this side.
Yeah. So the question was, would we need 2 pages? Yeah, you might, or you can control it through the profiles as well. Question over there.
All right. Why can you collapse a fast step on a card page?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat?
You have card pages. You have lots of fields.
Yeah.
Then you can fast steps.
Yeah.
You can collapse them.
No, so that's not the device we have right now on the tablet, but that's also something we have been considering for a future release.
Oh, that's not possible.
That's not possible. No, not on today's implementation.
Yeah. I can add also to that, because also why this is not supported since 2002 is just because with the modern UI, like Office 365 is introducing, we decided that for simplicity reasons we decided not to have that functionality, and then with the modern changes, this feature got removed, and then also we got the feedback that is very needed, and we may do it, but there are no really, yeah.
But we are considering it now for the next release.
But that was like cautious decision that we decided to remove to simplify the UI, have less clutter, together with the modern changes.
Yeah, question over there. All right, sorry.
Are there any plans for an offline application? I think this one is only online when you're on the internet or extranet.
That's correct. We don't have any plan currently for offline. But that's correct. This one requires an online connection.
There is a restriction on a screen size. Is it defined actually by physical size or by number of pixels?
So when we resize?
No. I mean, on what size devices may tablet client work?
Oh yeah. Okay. So we support down to 7 inches of screen. I mean, that doesn't mean you cannot run on less than 7 inches. Yeah. Do you want to deal T-shirts out to people who are asking questions? Do you want to deal T-shirts out? To
Yeah. I can do that. No problem.
Yeah. So we support. Our recommendation is that you go for tablets which are 7 inches and above, right? And the resolution is pretty much any resolution on the tablets which are on the market today. But it's more. You'll find that the limiting factor is more the screen size rather than the actual resolution of tablets. Most tablets today, the operating system we support have high enough resolution, so that's not what's the problem. The problem is the size. If you go below, like if you go on a smartphone. So first of all, we don't support phone, but that's not going to render well. Well, you can try it though. I mean. We officially support 7 inches, so if you come to us with the request for something that doesn't work on 5 inches, we might not do it. But potentially you could design a page that would run on 5. Try it out. If it works for you, it works for you, right? But we chose. We had to limit our metrics of testing. You can imagine, when you take, all the devices, all the form factors, all the resolutions, all the OS that can be installed, and there's really a lot to test on. So yeah, that's another thing. When you might want to choose for your application, for your users, it's a little bit dangerous to go and say use any device you want, because you'll have to support all the devices. So you'll be aware of that. You might want to say we support that particular device, but up to you, of course.
Sorry, and I can ask into that, Vincent, because also the reason why we support 7 inches and up is that our current user experience is designed to use with 2 hands, right? So when you look at all the menus and items, they're designed to use with 2 hands. So that's why they're either on right or right-hand side. And for phone, most of the tinier phones use with 1 hand, and then design is not ideal for phones. That also is the other decision why we don't support phones. But shall I give one T-shirt to someone, Vincent? Or?
Yeah, just people would dare ask questions. I think they deserve a T-shirt. The question over there.
There you go.
Yes. Hi. Is it possible to disable the adaptive UI? So, for example, if you have a list with 10 columns and you want to show all of them at the same time always, and have a horizontal scroll bar, is that possible?
You mean on the tablet?
Yes.
No, it's not possible. So right now, we will cut your columns. So we made that choice very consciously because we want the development to and the developers to really think about providing a simple user experience on the tablets. But now we realize, that's the decision we made. We've got a lot of feedback on that, especially the number of columns. We knew that would be a sensitive area, and that would be something that people would challenge. So I can tell you that we are actually looking into providing some solution to that particular problem for the next version of the tablet. But we are aware of the fact that it is a limitation that we try get back to us and tell us how that worked for you. This limitation. Can you actually make it work? Can you make your scenario work with this limited number of columns? Keep in mind that what we're thinking is that the scenarios you're going to do on the tablets are not going to be, the real advanced scenario, the heads down scenario. It's more like, you're going to go look at your KPIs, do simple tasks, It's like, the things you do with your tablet today, you don't go and write long Word documents and long letters where you need to do a lot of formatting or stuff like that on your tablet. Most people actually go and do that on the desktop. So we expect, that would be the same for NAV and ERP in general. So, but we're looking into providing you a way to show more columns with still a cool user interface and user experience.
In case you run into troubles with the rendering of your page, is there an alternative for the Control-Alt-F1, the About This page you have in the normal client?
So you mean, what type of troubles are you thinking?
Normally you can say Control-Alt-F1 on the Windows client to show up on which page you are. And for debugging testing purposes, is there another way to know on which page you are on the tablet?
Not on the tablet. But you can always run the Windows client next to it, and see you can have both environment running at the same time and show the same page. And if you want to go and look at the page and the page number, and you can. Yeah, it's still only the Windows client that allows that today.
But also you can use what do you call it, Fiddler, and then also see the JSON and the metadata we use, and then also you can see what the page name is, right?
But that's a little bit
advanced. That's a bit low level, but of course, it's one way of getting around that problem, right?
You can do that, but you have to go through the complexity of the communication, right? But yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Just one question. Do you plan to support some kind of notification system? So are you planning to include push notifications or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. We don't have that. So you're thinking about can you integrate with the notification, for example, on the iOS or on Windows? No, we don't have that at this time. But yeah, it's definitely something that we've been talking about. But that would be cool. We could send things into the either on the tile and there are things like that, scenarios like that become interesting, of course. But we don't support it at this time.
Hello. You said you don't support offline mode.
Yes.
Is it in plan anytime soon?
It is not in plan at the moment.
Because it's all fine when the network is stable and when it's good network, but there are a lot of third world countries and the countries in development that require offline mode, and they will always choose some other customization of Dynamics mobile application than this.
Yeah, we're aware of that. So what we did beside the rendering part of it and delivering the UX on the tablets, we're aware of that. We don't have a complete offline mode at this time. But I don't know if you've seen we lost connection a couple of times during the presentation. So we invested. The first thing we did when we started developing on the tablet, we invested a lot in making the whole connection resumable. we call this suspend resume. So you'll experience, and that's something also that benefits the web client today. It's the same code base basically. If you lose connection, which is much more likely to happen if you are on a tablet, like sitting in a train and go in a tunnel or whatever, then we've done a lot of work to make the resume seamless. So no, we don't have offline, but we have a better experience where the connection is shaky. You can, you get the gray bar saying your connection got lost. You click resume, and what we do is that we try to get you back as close as possible to where you were when the connection got suspended. So of course, if you have a dialog open and you are in the middle of executing a lot of CL code on the server side, we won't be able to recreate that entirely and resume where you were. But most of the time, we can get you back to the page you were on at the moment of where you lost the connection, when the connection recovers. We try to recover first automatically, so sometimes you won't even notice that the connection got lost temporarily. And if we really don't, then you get the dialog, you get the bar at the top, and you go resume when the connection is back, and you can get back to the page most of the time.
Is there the possibility of an automatic logout after a period of time, especially if you lose the connection, for example?
So that's the usual timeout of NAV. We have that on the web client today, and that's exactly the same you have here. And there's, of course, most devices also support locking out the device itself, which you might want to use. But for NAV, we have a timeout. If the session is not used for a while, then we'll go and log off automatically.
Some question on the other side.
The other question over there, yeah.
Would it be possible in future to be able to specify a different default card and list page for use with the tablet client?
A different, I'm sorry?
A different card and list page, because obviously you've got a property to say what your card page is, what is your list page for a particular table. So you've only got one kind of like choice. I was just wondering if you consider in the future being able to specify, have another property to specify the card page for the tablet client and the list page for the tablet client.
Okay, you mean in development environment specify that this
yeah,
is... So we consider that as well. So I guess just correct me if I'm wrong, but what you suggested that you would have a page, so one version of the page for the tablet and another version of the page for the web client, and the page would render automatically depending on which device you are on, right? That's what you're thinking, right?
Yeah. So if you go like from a list and you open the record, instead of opening up just one page, and it has to be a compromise between
so you would go and say
two different clients. If you had two properties on the one time, if you were on the, say, like the Windows client, you'd open up one page. If it was on the tablet client, it could open up a different page.
So
again, you could customize for running on the tablet.
So you would customize in the development environment. So no, we don't have. That's also something we discussed. At this stage, we don't have any plan on implementing that particular feature. It's all the reason why we didn't go that way was first of all, we wanted to provide as much reuse as possible for people, for the existing pages. So the idea was that you could take any page you have and basically rendering on the client. Actually, most of the apps you've seen is what we call the mini app. It's not made for the tablet originally. That's the app we had. So we didn't actually went and develop an app for the tablet. We had this one, which was for simple use, and that was our target app. That was the app we used for testing the tablet. So that's the idea behind it. Keep in mind that if you go down that route, you're going to add to the complexity of your application. You're going to branch. In essence, you're going to branch your code into two paths, which you will have to maintain. We didn't think that was a good idea. Now we'll, let's see how the future goes with this. Maybe we'll have to do that at some stage. But I'd rather advise you to use the profiles. Use maybe if you have pages which are very complex, don't put them in your tablet app. Use a different profile for your tablet app and just go to the pages or do a simplified version of these pages. That's what we recommend.
Hi there. Is it practical for a partner to manipulate the native CSS to brand or reskin the tablet app?
So, good question. Are you asking whether it's practical or if it's doable? So it is not actually something we. So it's possible, yes. I mean, we can't prevent you from doing it. The CSS is available on the web server, and you can actually override it if you want, like any other web application, if you have access to the server. Now, that was actually a feature we have been considering, and we might do it at some stage. So basically, there are many ways to do that. What we would like to do, if we get the time to do it, relate to all the other features we want to do for you. We would like to isolate the CSS, like the few CSS stuff that you could override easily, like in one file. So you would go and you could say, okay, change that color of the tile, or color of the background, and you know, like the 5 things that would be interesting for you to brand your application. Actually, now that you mentioned that, if you read in the small pamphlet that comes with your badge, it says that on the description of this session, it says that we will also talk about some more advanced things, advanced scenarios, if you want to, do your own app on the store. That's what it says. Actually, I didn't talk about that, and there's a reason for that. When we started developing for the tablet, we didn't actually plan to develop the Shim app and publish the app on the store at the very beginning. Our idea was that we would only do the web part of it. So the /tablet.aspx that I show you in the browser, and we will let you guys do your own app. The idea being that you could brand it with your own partner name, or your own ISV name, or whatever kind of branding you would want to do, and then you could publish it under your company name on the store. Because back then we didn't know how hard it is actually to make the shim part of it. We thought it would be relatively easy. We thought it's just a web control. You just put it into some native app and just a web control, and that's it. I can tell you that we got a lot wiser, and I mean, you should be glad that we did the work for you, because this is really a lot of work, and I think that would be almost very, very difficult to actually go and do this. Now we know how to do it. If you want to do it, it's possible, but it's really a lot of work, and our intention was to actually shield you from all that these technicalities, and we published this app for you guys so you wouldn't have to do that work. Now we are aware of the fact that branding is important, and this is something we'll consider in the future as well. Giving you possibility to brand the app, and we might even at some stage make the code available for the actual shim. Also, beware that's kind of complicated. It's not an easy thing to do. Any other question?
In the demonstration, you showed telephony and Skype opened.
Yes.
Do you have any possibility or idea to use local telephony possibilities, because every tablet has its functionality?
Yeah, I believe.
So I can take it.
Yeah,
because we use the call to protocol. So whatever application you have installed on your device to handle calls, like Link or whatever, you can use that one for making a call. In this case, we just had a device with Skype set up, so that's why Open is the default application.
What about the custom telephony in the tablet?
Sorry, yeah.
Possibility to telephone. Can we use this function? Every tablet has a possibility to phone without Navision. Can we use this telephone by Navision?
Yeah, it must be
inbuilt telephone.
I think it's possible. If you, as Lukasz said, if this application on your tablet actually recognize the protocol, which is the one we put in the tablet. What we do, the way it's rendered, you see, it's rendered as a link, as a hyperlink in the tablet. You can tap on, and there's a tag in front of it that says that this is a telephone number, And if your app on the tablet support that protocol, that should work. That is not something we have. It would be depending on the app whether it's supported or not. But we know for a fact that you can install Skype, it works. You can install if you only have Link is going to work. Link is going to kick in. If you have any other third-party app that is supporting the telephony protocol, that would be the one, and that's your default one. That's be the one going to be launched when you tap this link. So try it out. Try it out. Just take a customer card and put a telephone number in it and see if it works.
Hey, am I able to hide and show fields on the page by an action or something?
So is there personalization on the page?
No, with some code, with an action
so I can
to hide.
Yeah, actually, I can. Yeah, we can do that. And there's some pages in the SMB profile, small business profile, that actually do that. So I think on the sales invoice you can show additional bill to address and stuff. So we can use the actions and show and hide. So dynamic visibility is supported.
But by code, that's
by
right.
code. Yeah. But we can control in CI by expression and then show hide items, and you can trigger this by actions.
Yes. Yeah, that works. That works.
There's another question here.
Yep.
So the profile parameter in the service URL, is that something that's also supported in the other clients, even the Windows client? It would be handy to make a quick switch to another profile.
It's supported in the web client for sure. Whether it's supporting in the Windows client,
I don't know.
I don't remember.
We'll have to test.
But
yeah, give it a try.
Yeah, shoot me a mail. And I'll find out.
Okay.
Or find me, in the expo room, in the expo area later on. I'll find somebody who can answer that question. But that's a good question. I don't remember. So you mean through the the regular protocol? If you go like MS, Dynamics NAV, and yeah, I'll find out. I don't remember. Sorry. Any other question?
Yeah, we have 40 seconds.
All right, if there's no more questions, thank you all for attending that session. That was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Vincent.
And actually, thank you, Lukasz. Actually, I've been asked to announce that the next important thing is the dinner. So